also the first woman and the first person of color to direct a Star Wars film. It's set to be released in 2026. You can say that the force is strong with this one. Here's Sharmina Bechinoy.
You know, I'm very thrilled about the project because I think what we are about to create is something very special. And we're in 2024 now. And I think it's about time that we had a woman come forward to shape the story in a galaxy far, far away.
When you can play the woman card, you play the woman card.
So this is the new director for the next Star Wars movie. Yep, she's an activist, shock horror. She's a woman of colour, and of course she's the first of everything. So we can't wait for this, can we? This is clearly starting from a great place on meritocracy. It's the best director we could find, who's going to use the best actors we can find with the best story we can find or make. And that's what we're going to do with the next Star Wars movie. No, we're fucking not. We're going to get this retard who's a fucking activist, who's got nothing more than agenda to put into this movie and try and sell it to the public through the lens of bigotry if you don't like it. The same old shit from Lucasfilm, from Kathleen Kennedy, from all these fuckwits who literally have got nothing better to do than to try and force this shit down our necks. It's pathetic. So it's a new Rey movie. The rumours are already out there. They're already circulating. Let's take a little look at what Rey used to be like. Let's just see what kind of character she used to be, because she was a great character, of course. And let's just have a little look at what she was and how she began her little adventure in Star Wars.
I can do this. I can do this.
Where's the pilot?
I'm the pilot.
You?
No, it's true. We're the only ones on board.
You can understand that thing? And that thing can understand you too, so watch it. All the Sith.
I'm all the Jedi.
So at the end of the trilogy with Rey, we end up with a fully rounded character who's managed in that short time to become the greatest Jedi ever without even trying, From the very start of the trilogy, she's already far better than anybody else. Far better than Kylo Ren, who's been Sith trained for years, we're led to believe. She's already overpowered by a huge amount. She's been on this desert planet. She's never left the planet, so she hasn't flown around in any spaceships. But the minute she gets inside the Millennium Falcon, she's a better pilot than Han Solo and his best buddy, Chewbacca. So, without even trying, she's that good. And from that point on, through the trilogy, she basically shows how great she is at everything. She can speak fluent Wookiee just like that, which is never explained. She just can, even though she's never left the planet. I suppose it's possible, but there you go. So let's just tot up what she ends up with at the end of this trilogy, this fantastic trilogy. She ends up with Han Solo's ship, which she never deserved, Han Solo's best friend, Chewbacca, which she never deserved, Luke and his father's lightsaber, Leia's lightsaber that Luke gave to Leia. Now, of course, she's got to have that. Then off screen, somehow, she just builds her own lightsaber, which is the yellow one she sparks up in a mo. And then the final nail in the coffin is she takes Luke's home, which is where she is now. She just takes it. And that wasn't enough. So right at the end...
There's been no one for so long. Who are you?
Ray! Ray, I never told you Ray! Ray!
I'm Ray. Ray who? Ray Skywalker.
She has to take his name, and that is where this show ends. It is a fucking joke. It is horrendous. It is the epitome of Mary Sue writing. This is straight out of Kathleen Kennedy's pants drawer, and it's fucking awful. So well done. So George Lucas, the original creator of Star Wars, his ideas about Star Wars are pretty straightforward. He's aired them several times. So let's listen to what he's got to say about it.
I was interested in doing a film that could affect kids, and I'd studied mythology and everything, and I decided I'm going to make a modern myth, and which teaches, again, the basics of what you have in a society, because mythology is there to glue a society together. It gives you common ideas about who you are, about what your society is, what you believe in, what your God is, what your values are, and it's based on the psychological motifs behind myths. I disliked the business of Hollywood intensely. When I had that choice of Star Wars being a success, I said, I'm going to try to make a go for it. And so I invested in the next movie and borrowed money from a bank and everything. I had everything at stake. I did it primarily because I didn't want the studios to tell me what to do. I didn't want them coming and commenting on my work and putting their little ideas in there. And because I needed to make sure I controlled the vision and not have it be diluted by a lot of other people, I ended up with a company, and the company was successful, and movies were successful.
Okay, so you heard it from the horse's mouth. The man has got nothing to do with the gender. It's to do with myth. It's to do with history. It's to do with our past and learning from it and things like that. It's not forcing an agenda down your throat. Not once has he mentioned that. Not once has he mentioned activism. Things, buzzwords that are all flying around right now and have done for the last 6 years. It's fucking ridiculous. These people have no idea what they're doing. They can't create anything good anymore. So all they do is force fucking agenda into everything, racism into everything if you don't like it, homophobia if you don't like it, sexism, all this absolute shite. And it's just a cover. It's a cover. It's like a great big metal shield that's been invented just to stop people criticising what is practically a load of shit. So all we're left with now is pieces of Star Wars. You're still going to get your special effects visuals that you've seen in The Force Awakens and various other iterations of Star Wars, and they all look cool. But behind it it's just a facade. The rest of it is just agenda, horseshit, terrible writing. Normally the acting isn't great either, and none of it is about meritocracy. There isn't nobody in Lucasfilm now is there because of how good they are. They're there for activism's sake, for agenda's sake, and nothing more, which means you're going to get a shit product. And that's why we're getting what we're getting. It's not going to change until it changes from within Lucasfilm. So you need Kathleen Kennedy to go, all her minions to go. That's a lot of people. So that's a lot of change, and I don't see that coming anytime soon. Very much like the BBC with Doctor Who. Without massive change, without new people who are interested in the product, not agenda, not activism, not this bullshit, until we get people like that who truly love this stuff and really want to make it something exciting and entertaining, we're not going to get anything good. So I'm afraid Star Wars, like all these other fucking IPs, are dead. They're just dead, and these people are just dragging them out, dusting off the corpse, dressing it up in a nice new suit, and saying, "Here you go, it's dead, but look at the outside. Looks pretty, doesn't it, on the outside? And when you take the suit off, the corpse is still there. It's fucking terrible."
I'm a storyteller, but I'm also a troublemaker. And I have a habit of asking difficult questions.
You talked a little bit about, I want women to watch this, and I want them to feel empowered, and I want my daughter to have heroes. I couldn't help but notice a thread through each of these, that the men were assholes.
Oh, absolutely. I like to make men uncomfortable. I enjoy making men uncomfortable.
Go fuck yourself. Is that clear? I hope it is.
Got to say one more thing as well on this this lady. I can't pronounce her name, so I won't attempt it, because it'll probably be seen as insulting anyway. But she says, you know, she loves making men feel uncomfortable. She loves that. Now, if we spun that round and say we love to make women feel uncomfortable, and if I was directing something, I said, you know, every woman on this show, I want to make them feel really uncomfortable. What would that look like? It's fucking, this is where we are. You can say anything against straight white men all the time now. It doesn't matter what it is, how offensive, how rude, how fucking ignorant. You can say anything. But if you say it about anybody else, women, whatever sexual orientation you fucking are, if you say anything against it, critique it in any way, you're seen as a bigot, or all those other ists and phobes that are out there now. It's fucking, this is a joke. We're living in a time of fucking stupidity, and common sense has been removed from everything. Anything you thought was true, like two genders, is been trying to be eroded by these retards. And the retards are supported by all these actors. The problem is, people try and give all these actors an out by saying, oh, well, they're just actors. Well, you know, they're producing sexist material. They're producing agenda-driven material. It's propaganda. It's the kind of shit that these warmongers would love to use to twist people's minds. It's brainwashing. It's grooming involved. There's all kinds of heinous shit involved in this stuff. And, you know, when you compare things in your own life and say, well, would I do what these people do and ram this down people's throats? No, I wouldn't. You have an opinion, of course, everyone's got an opinion. We don't all have to agree, but you've got to be able to sit down and talk about it. That's the thing. These people don't even want that conversation. What they want to do is say, well, you say anything against this material and you're a fucking homophobe, or you're a fucking bigot or something. Misogynist. It's pathetic, and they need to fucking grow up. Big time.
But, you know, it is important to be able to look into the eyes of a man and say, I am here.
I like it. I like that one.
And recognize that. And recognize that I am working to bring something that makes you uncomfortable, and it should make you uncomfortable because you need to change your attitude. And it's only when you're uncomfortable, when you're shifty, when you have to have difficult conversations that you will perhaps look at yourself in the mirror and not like the reflection, and then say, maybe there is something wrong with the way I think, or maybe there is something wrong with the way I am addressing this issue.
Well, what appealed to me was that George Lucas, who wrote it and also directed it, didn't want a damsel in distress, didn't want your stereotypical princess, you know, sort of a victim, frightened, incapable of dealing with the situation without the guys. So he wanted a fighter. He wanted someone who was independent, and that's what appealed to me about that part, yeah.
So Carrie Fisher here, she's explaining to this interviewer, a BBC interviewer in 1977 or thereabouts, why she took the job on of Princess Leia. And he, being what he is, of course, from the BBC, saying she's a damsel in distress and all this kind of shit. Even then, the BBC tried to, you had this far left opinion of things, right? She completely goes against the grain here and tells you the truth of why she took the role. It was because her role was heroic. It wasn't a damsel in distress. It was the complete opposite. She could look after herself, but she was up against insurmountable odds. So she needed help. She couldn't do it on her own, like fucking Rey. She couldn't just stand there, use force heal, fucking nick someone's starship, take their fucking lightsabers, take their best friends, and then take their house and their name, and just go, you know what, I'm a hero. Fuck off. Fuck off. She was a princess back then. Yes, she still had that title, but she could still fight. She could still look after herself. The bottom line is we've gone so far the other direction now. If Star Wars, the original, was made now, she would be the star, not Luke Skywalker. Princess Leia would be the star. And that's the fucking truth. That film would only be about her. Luke would be running around in distress while she looks after him. And that's not what that film was about. Luke goes to rescue her, but if you watch that film, she needs help from other people, and that's reality. You can't do everything on your fucking own. Despite what the fucking mainstream media would have you, believe, the first woman of this, the first fuck off with your first bollocks. So in this next little interview, you've got George Lucas and Kathleen Kennedy. And George is trying to explain here to the interviewer, but he's really trying to explain to Kathleen Kennedy what could go wrong with the Star Wars franchise if she doesn't watch what the fuck she's doing. And if you look at the little glances and you look at the faces and you look the way things are going with the eyes in this interview, you can see Kathleen Kennedy shows utter disdain for what George is saying. She's got one thing and one thing in her mind about what she's going to do with Star Wars. She doesn't give a fuck what he says anymore. She just looks at him like, fuck off, you old bastard. I've got better things to do than to listen to this shit. You haven't got a clue, you're old. I know what Star Wars needs. And that's exactly her attitude. And that's why she's still there now, doing what she's doing. Fucking it up.
It's about good and evil in us, as well as our institutions. So, and the idea that some of us think we're really great people, but in the real world we're not. We're terrible people.
Or you can make bad choices.
Well, you make bad choices, but you run your life in a very selfish way, and you think you're doing good when you're actually not. And at the same time, it's how do democracies turn back into dictatorship? Why do people who have the power to have the freedom and everything turn it over to somebody who's going to take it all away from them? It's happened through history forever and ever, and all Star Wars is a way of updating that idea to say, watch out, because there are people out there who don't play by the rules, and if you're not careful, you're going to lose all your freedom. And at the same time, those people who may not play by the rules, because they're selfish and greedy, turn themselves into evil people who don't care about other people.
There you go.
I'm saying what I care about is the reality of goodness, not the perception of it. And what I see all over the place is people who care about looking good while doing evil. Fuck them. Okay?
This is a classic. you see Kathleen Kennedy waiting for some kind of plaudit from Steven Spielberg in this. It was for Indiana Jones. It was basically a pat on the back for all the people involved in all the Indiana Jones films. Not that last Indiana Jones film was anything to pat anyone on the back for, because it was fucking god awful. But this is just about where Indiana Jones, originally came from, etc., and what makes Indiana Jones great. And what you've got here is Steven Spielberg basically giving everyone a pat on the back, and he completely misses out Kathleen Kennedy on purpose, and she thinks she's going to get a pat on the back here. You can tell, just take a look at her face. It's fucking hilarious.
There are three indispensable people without whom none of us would be here tonight, and that starts with the person who created Indiana Jones, George Lucas. The person who is Indiana Jones, Harrison Ford. And the person is the glue to all five of these films that gave us all of our rhythm and all of our melody, the great maestro, John Williams.
And for anybody who wasn't sure about this diversity, DEI policy, equity and inclusion, here it is. This is your typical, this is just from one company. I won't name who it is, but they're all using this kind of shit now. And if you just read through it like I did, it shows you exactly where we're going and why things are as shit as they are. Because not once here does it say about how good anybody is. It's all about what ethnicity they are. It's all about colour. It's all about shit. It's all about sexuality. It's got fuck all to do with the plot of the movie. Anything to do with the movie, it's just bollocks. I mean, just look at it. Race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, disability aligns with the character they will be playing. Fuck off. So what you're saying is somebody like Rain Man could never be made now. Something like Forrest Gump could never be made now. Something like Philadelphia could never be made now. Because all these people weren't of that ilk. They weren't disabled. They didn't have AIDS. And, there wasn't something mentally retarded about them. So what you've got here is just utter fucking nonsense. These actors, they're supposed to be able to play characters. That's the point of acting, you fucktards. So when you come up with a list like this of things people have to do in order to be hired, you're destroying any kind of artistic meritocracy, and you're creating shit products again. So good luck with that, you pricks. Now here we are, an article from Collider interviewing Daisy Ridley on this new film, this exciting new film. And let's just go through what it says. Daisy Ridley says her new Star Wars movie is not what I expected. What? You mean, what isn't it? Why isn't it what you expected? What, it's even worse than you expected? That'd be about fucking right. At Star Wars Celebration 2023, Daisy Ridley was revealed to be returning as Rey for her new films. She says the new film is not what she expected, but hopes fans will be excited by the story. Give me a fucking break. They are not going to be excited by this story. No way. Whatever fans you've got left, most of them are just clinging on. Hope above hope that they're going to get something decent, but they're not going to. Back in April, fans of the Star Wars sequel trilogy got the surprise of a lifetime when it was announced that Daisy Ridley would be reprising her role as Rey in a brand new film set after the events of The Rise of Skywalker. Oh, fuck. Oh dear, oh dear. Ridley talked about her surprise appearance at the Star Wars Celebration, how she already knows the plot of the film, which is not what she expected. As she told Weintraub, the announcement of a new film was news even prior to her appearance at Star Wars Celebration. Ridley recalls that when she spoke to Collider at Sundance Film Festival, she still hadn't been approached to reprise her role as the scavenger turned Jedi. No, I'll bet she didn't. Because they don't know what to fucking do with this fucking franchise. They haven't got a fucking clue. I mean, this is pathetic. You're going back to a character no one fucking liked. I mean, who the fuck likes Rey? The queen of everything, the best of everything. Get fucked. As excited as fans are to see her return, there's also the question of whether Ridley is returning for just one outing as Rey, or if the new film could herald Star Wars' return to its trilogy roots. When Weintraub asked Ridley if her return to the galaxy far, far away would be the start of a new trilogy of films and whether she already knew what Rey's story would be, she didn't say whether it would be a trilogy or not, but her answer still offered some hope that this could be the start of more stories in this era. In Ridley's own words, she said, "I know the storyline for one film. That's not to say that that's all it is, but that's what I was told about. And I imagine it will be the next film, I think. I mean, again, I don't know post-strikes and everything, how quickly everything will start up again. But yes, so far, I know the story of one film, and I think people will be very excited." No, they're not going to be. Daisy, you're living in fucking cloud cuckoo land. This thing, if it gets made, and it sounds like it might do, because they've gone a little bit over the top with the announcement. If this thing gets made and sees the light of day, it's going to be a fucking shit show. I guarantee it, because the last 3 films you were in were a shit show. You know, you look at the diminishing returns of those 3 films. You started off, 2 billion, because everyone was fooled by this key jangling all the original cast. Don't forget, this film, this new film, you won't have any of those cast members. You've killed them all off. So who have you got left? You're going to bring back fucking, what, gay Lando Calrissian? Give me a break. There is nothing left in this franchise. You cannot milk it anymore. You are going to bring this out and use every usual bigotry fucking agenda-driven shit to try and make this thing successful. You're going to try and hide this behind the usual tropes, the usual gender-driven, race-driven tropes. That's all you're going to do. So good luck with that, you fucking idiots.
Did you have some kind of mechanism, in a sense, so that you could make sure that you were true to Tolkien?
Well, we didn't want to put any of our own, certainly in terms of the thematic material, we didn't want to put any of our own baggage. I mean, we had no interest in putting our messages into this movie, but we thought that we should honor Tolkien by putting his messages into it. And we thought he cared about things. The countryside and the rise of evil, and he cared passionately about certain issues. And we thought what we should do to honor him is to make sure that what he cared about ends up in the movie. That's what we tried to do.